Really excited to be joined today in the film room by Madison Hayes from over at North Carolina State University. Madison, first and foremost, how are you feeling headed into your grad year? We're like, I mean, shoot, you guys have an exhibition coming up on Tuesday. First game's on the 5th. SC game is on the 10th. Like, it's here fast. So, how are you kind of feeling knowing the season's right around the corner?
I mean, it's crazy how time flies. I remember literally yesterday that I was a freshman, but now the time's here and, trying to fulfill my goal of, trying to get to where we were last year and even further. But I'm really excited about the exhibition. I think it'll be a good starting point to see where we are. But I'm really excited.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I'm not even on a team, and I'm excited for the season to start.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, looking ahead too, like it just in terms of what this season can be. Obviously, a lot of returners, a lot of
Mhm.
new faces too. What have vibes kind of been like coming into the year and getting the feel for everybody in practice?
I mean, we have a good core group of guards with me, Zoe, Sanaya, Azaya. Obviously, we lost two big starters that we've had, Mimi Collins and River Baldwin. They were really good for us. They put up a lot of rebounds, a lot of points. So we had to, figure out how we're going to like get that together. But I think with the newcomers coming in, they're doing a really great job as of right now. We'll see how the exhibition looks. It's different when you're playing in practice and in game, so we'll see how that goes. But I think they're doing a really great job. I think we look great. We just gotta make sure we do that on the floor during another opponent.
Yeah, no, absolutely, a lot to look forward to and kind of see from that.
Yeah.
Um, I want to ask you, kind of looking back as well, when you look back at what this past season was, but particularly that run to the Final Four, what was maybe biggest takeaway you had from yourself as an individual from, what, like obviously a lot of incredible stuff coming out of that. I know you guys want to keep going even further, and that's the goal this year. But, when you look back on what this past March was, how do you kind of reflect on that, and what's your biggest takeaway?
I mean, I think we had a heck of a run. I mean, a lot of people didn't think that we were going to get that far or even beat Tennessee in the first round, second round. But we were really resilient like all year. I mean, it started with UConn and then it basically a trickle effect to everything else. Um, to other teams like Colorado was ranked at the time third in the country when we played them in the Virgin Islands. But just the chemistry that we had as a team was really great. But for me, I feel like that I had shot the ball a lot more. I led the ACC in 3-point percentage and like led the team in double doubles. So just being a factor in that standpoint, but also looking to this season as being more aggressive and being more of a scorer because I know I can be, and I've always, did everything that the team needed me to do for them because I'm just an unselfish player. I'll do whatever I have to do to win, whether I'm at the 4, the 3, even the 5, if it happens to be that at some point. But I think, last year was just a great run. I think we were we were the loosest team there at the Final Four, honestly. And, it was a great experience. And I would love to experience that again for my last year.
Yeah, it's fun. I like what you touched on with talking about just kind of playing a lot of different roles because I think that going back and watching stuff again the last couple of days and also just thinking about it in general for your career, like feels like you've had a different role every year, which is like part of it's
Yeah.
a good thing because you've been able to learn a lot from it, but also it's a lot. You came out of Tennessee as like a big time scorer, and obviously you've translated a lot of that to the college level too. But it's a lot of okay, cool. Well, playing the 2, playing the 3, playing the 4 at times last year. So how have you kind of
Right.
taken all of that over the last 4 years, and where it's gotten you to now in terms of how you've kind of had to continue to adapt your role and find ways to make an impact?
I think that just comes with how I play. I've always done the little things, but
Mhm.
like obviously now being a leader on this team, having to change my role again because now I'm a leader, like a grad senior.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I'm
no
so used
excuses
to
when you're
leading
a
by
fifth year player.
example. I know, right? Exactly. No mistakes. But I mean, just being able to go out there and actually just hoop and just not think about a lot of the other things. But actually it's like just sacrificing for my team. Like I'm just like I said, I'm the most unselfish player to a fault. And I just feel like, that's just what I did for the past couple of years because I just, wanted to play. And like my sophomore, junior year, well, my sophomore year, I didn't play a lot.
Mhm.
And then I got pushed to the 4. People were hurt in front of me. Um, but I took that in as a learning experience, and it helped me grow into the player that I am now. And being able to be versatile in different areas, because it helped our team last year when we had River Baldwin out for a couple, Mimi Collins out for a couple of games. So it kind of helped in that standpoint, being able to be versatile and learn different, positions. So it definitely helped me out in the long run.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think when you think about you guys last year, a lot of it's versatility. I mean, sometimes you guys are playing four guard lineups. Seems
Yeah,
like this year maybe there's some five guard stuff that could happen, which is exciting, but also
maybe.
like that's yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially with that too. I think part of what's fascinating with that is like that's really big for the next level, right? Like being able to play multiple positions, but not just be there, but like understand what you're doing in each spot, and
Right.
being able to kind of showcase that versatility. Um, Especially looking at the next level and thinking through that stuff, where do you feel like you're best at positionally on the court? Or like I think it's obviously kind of not to make it like a trick question. I think part of the answer is
Oh,
like you you
yeah.
you play at every spot, but like where do you feel best at on the court right now?
I feel like I'm best at the three.
Mhm.
It's definitely like that big guard position. Can go inside or out. Just with our offense and how we play, definitely helps me. But I mean, even being at the four, obviously being undersized defensively, I'm just physical enough to do it. So I think that's why he trusts me to be able to guard a four. But also they got to guard me on the other end. So it's always a mismatch either way. But I feel like with me, just with my tenacity and my effort and mentality and the dog that I have, it comes easy with me just defensively. But yeah, I think that'll just come when it comes to the WBA because you're playing against grown women. I mean, they're grown, they're strong, they've been there for a while. So, I mean, I'll have my welcome to the WBA moment for sure. But I'm excited though. I mean, it always happens to everybody. So I'm excited to just be in that position. So
Absolutely. Going off
yeah.
that too, in terms of looking at the W, are you somebody who watches a lot of the W, or is that something you've kind of grown into more recently?
Oh, I've been watching the W for a long time. Because my first sport was softball. I didn't really, watch it early on, but I definitely started watching it like my eighth grade year when I first started playing basketball because that was my goal. That's my dream to go there. And I had to work my butt off, and I still am. I might not be the most like famous name, but I think I bring a lot to the table. I think a lot of WBA teams would like what I give. So I think just even doing this would help. And then obviously playing this year and showing them what I can do, I think would be the best thing. But I think the W has grown so much from when I watched and to now. It's just amazing how the veteran squad like Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, Candace Parker, like all of them started this. And then now we got the new generation like Caitlin Clark, Malia Boston. You got a couple of other players, but they brought in a lot more fans. So I think just being able to look at it now, I think it's amazing. And I think it's growing women's sports in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of what is really fun too with where the W's at now. And I think part of what is really cool in getting to do this is just in general, like, I think there's kind of, I don't want to say disconnect, but between college and pros, like, it's just different, right? Like, I think so often,
Yes.
like, it is rare to have a player like Caitlin or Angel come in and be able to be that impactful right away, right? Like, you have to come in for the most part, be able to play a
Right.
role. And especially with where the W's at now, where it's headed, a lot of it is like, it's shifting towards similarly to the NBA, like they did when, Golden State hit and everybody started spreading out more. It's hitting the point like, okay, you got to be able to guard your position, maybe another,
Right.
ideally another. You got to be able to move the ball. You got to be able to be a threat without it, and then you got to be able to be efficient when you do have it. So it's like, in order to grow, you got to have that level and baseline. I think that's again part of what's fun with you is you have that as being able to carve out a role and play that. And like you mentioned too, with getting to play the four, um, I think one of the best parts is you don't leave anything off on the glass. And like that's one of the things that always stands out with
Yeah.
watching you. Like I think you averaged almost 7 boards a game last year. And you
Yeah.
feel it too, which is something we'll go through in film. But like I think being able to again, it's like having that versatility to just do different things but do it well is really important for the next
Right.
level and really thriving.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Off that as well, before we, last couple of things. Um, Do you have anybody who's kind of been big in your ear in kind of directing you and what it looks like to be a pro, being prepared for that level? And obviously, I mean, there are multiple. I mean, you, Isaiah, Sanaya, a ton of people on this team with pro aspirations and ability. So, what has it kind of been like having that sort of mentality around as well?
I think just not even just doing it on the court, but doing it while not being in practice. I think that was like the main thing for me, learning how to like, because there's always somebody else working out while I'm not, and having that mentality of always being in the gym, always working. My coaches, my position coaches have always told me about it, and I'm just like, okay. But like now, like I've for the past couple of years, I've just been in the gym like nonstop, and I've just seen my game grow from here to like all the way up here. And the ceiling, it's as far as the ceiling. And for me, just being able to do that every day will obviously help my game. And then obviously being around Isaiah and Sanaya, having those pro aspirations as well. We all three have the same goals. So I think it'll be cool to see all three of us get drafted somewhere, you know? So I think it'll be cool to see.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, to close out on questions before we get into it, when you look at what
Mm.
you've maybe built on the most since the last season ended, what was your off season like? What was kind of your main focus, and stuff that you wanted to grow on as an individual headed into this year?
I think one of the things like skill wise, just being able to keep the three sharp as it has been this past season. Obviously making more shots as like not everybody makes perfect 30 for 30 or whatever the case, however many shots you make, but adding the mid range, we'll be coming off a lot of screens a lot more. Being able to handle the ball coming up the court. When I get a rebound, go ahead and push it myself, and then also just being more aggressive on the offensive end. I'm a two-way player. So being able to do that on the defensive end, I need to do the same on the offensive end, but while also not forcing shots and still being unselfish because that is possible. But I feel like growing as a person, I think a leadership part, being more vocal, has been the biggest part for me, and obviously helping the freshmen because we have four freshmen. One's from a different country. The other three are just coming in, Zamaria, Devin, Lorena, and Tilda Swagger. Yes, Tilda. And so just being able to teach them, and it's a lot of information overload,
Oh, for
and
sure.
it can be a lot. And just, teaching them and helping them through practice. I mean, they're doing a really, really great job. So it's kind of been easy on me. I know it probably wasn't easy for the other people to teach me because, it was hard for me to like try and figure everything out. But I think, the leadership comes to me. I've always been a leader, but just being a vocal leader is what I've been doing the best. So I've been doing a great job of that. I hope so,
Yeah.
so
No, I mean, it sounds like a lot
yeah.
of just working on consistency, right? Because I think again, like for the
Yeah.
next level, consistency is everything. I think the hardest part is like
Hmm.
you mentioned, it's funny because you talk about somebody else is always in the gym, and there is an element of that, but it's also like, okay, how do you handle knowing like, all right, there are moments where I can't be in the gym. Like I have to be able to just
Right.
do things when I can't, like, how do I kind of handle just having my basketball life, but also being able to stay focused on doing everything without running myself into the ground with this lengthy season. So there's a lot to kind of figure out once you get to that next level. So starting to work on that already is really big time.
Right.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
let me get this film loaded up again. If there's anything you want me to
Okay.
backtrack or zoom through, we'll go on it. But I want to start off with your defense because I think, like we talked about, I think defense for you is like one of the biggest selling points of what you bring to the next level, right? Before we dive into the film, I'd like to shout out our sponsor for this video series, State Champs. State Champs is a streetwear brand based in Ohio, focused on building up women's sports and local sports. Check out their website at the link down below for the apparel collab we've done recently. Any purchases there directly support my work, and hey, you can get some cool swag as well. Back to the film. Being able to guard multiple
Hmm.
positions, guard multiple actions, like that's what it's all about. So I want to start with this.
Okay. I'm on
Um,
my phone and look.
yeah. Um,
Okay.
So going back through, I think the Colorado game was a really fun litmus test for you guys as a team, but also for you because I think guarding Frida Foreman is one of the toughest guards in the country. Like you have to do so much off movement, so much just kind
Yeah.
of tracking her. So I really like it just in general because like again, she's running through a million things. Their offense is a ton of screening actions. do a good job fighting through, and then obviously you're able
Right.
to draw the foul at the end right here.
Mhm. That thing like Frida Foreman when we watched them play, LSU that earlier that year, them beating them, I'm like, okay. And she hit like a bunch of threes that game. So we made it an emphasis to definitely get up on her, get a high hand, being physical across screens everywhere. And I think we did a really, really great job on her. Um, but yeah, I think just having that effort, it's always effort on defense. It's never just a skill. It's just really effort and wanting to do it. So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, absolutely. It's an effort and awareness thing, right? Like being able to always have your eyes up, always see things coming.
Hmm.
And that's part of what I wanted to ask with here too, because I
Right.
think one of the things that people will think about often when they see things like it's so important to take into account the kind of defense that you guys play, right? So you guys play pack line, so pretty much everything you're going under any screen that's middle of the floor, right? If it's interior, but
Right.
when you see something like this, like how do you kind of approach when because they started hitting you guys with this mid second quarter when they started to make a run. Um, when you go back through and see some of the stuff like this, what are things that you guys would want to maybe clean up from this, or just in general, kind of seeing this play back?
Right. I think so. Number 24, I think hit a couple of threes.
Hmm.
So I probably should have. Because we usually like Mimi, we usually go to the point of the screen and we usually would switch, but we didn't want to put Mimi on a shooter.
For
So
sure.
um I probably should have slid under quicker instead of waiting on her to come across. But yeah, I definitely should have slid under the big and got there quicker because she was gonna curl regardless. She didn't look
Hmm.
like she was gonna shoot a three. I just got caught under, honestly. So probably just communication wise, and I probably should have just busted it over to the elbow and cut her off. But yeah,
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
that's a
cleaning that type of stuff up is easy.
For sure. No, because exactly what you're saying. I think part of what's tough is like, defense is a war of attrition, right? You're never gonna be perfect. It's always trying to just be better the next play, next game, next possession. And I mean Colorado's offense is just so tough. They do a
Mm,
lot of great stuff to target how you play defense. So, and it's 29-6 right here. So I can't complain about it, but and a lot of that's what you're able to do here
yeah.
as well. So going here, it's funny because like we talked about with physicality, one of the things that I look at with you that I want to see even more of, because I think you're really good at playing physical, but I think that there's room for you to get even better at like dictating a guard before they take something off the dribble, right? Because I think here I'm like, I know you have the like Tanaya
Right.
is crazy quick, like don't get me wrong, but like you have the strength, physicality, and length
Oh
to
yeah.
to keep her out of the paint here. And I mean, you've done it before, but I think I watched this and I'm like, if again having hands up, having feet out, like you can really stop that.
Right. Yeah, I think I would just relax like just a little bit to where she can get me off and rub off of me.
Mhm.
I don't know. I probably fouled her right here, honestly. I don't remember which
I
one
think
it
she got an
was
and
because
one,
I
yeah.
watched this game so many times. Yeah, so and then taking the step back, I probably should have just stayed up and walled up. I
Mhm.
definitely because I was waiting on this screen, the flat, and then when she went over, I kind of relaxed. I probably should have just stayed up and had a hand up because she can shoot the ball and she can do everything basically because I know her really well. So
Yeah.
just I should have just been up closer and been more urgent on that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think again though, that's part of what's tough because like part of why I wanted to pick out, the teams like Colorado looking at Florida State, like they run pro stuff. Like they have that kind of personnel. They're gonna play fast. They have a
Hmm.
lot of guards. Like right here too. I really like this. So that's why it's fun going off this last one because right here, I think you do such a good job, like you talked about, screen coming across, anticipating it, getting under, helping the gap and close, and then you're able to stick with it. Like, and she
Hmm.
fouls you in my opinion. Like, no offense, I love Tanaya, but like this is an offensive foul. It should have been called an offensive foul in my opinion. But like, I think again with playing inside what
Yeah,
you
but
guys do defensively, I think this is great.
right. Um, yeah, Coach Moore makes it an emphasis to make sure that we either get under or we're going over.
Hmm.
I might have should have gone over just because of how low the screen was. Just because she can shoot the ball off the dribble, but luckily she didn't.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, I think obviously making the best choice was to go under because she loved to drive more than anything. So just stopping that drive was the main key for her.
No, absolutely. And considering like if she gets into the paint and is spraying the ball out, that's so much more damaging than her taking a step back. So I'll take it anytime. Um, Going off this too, so it's again like talking about the physicality stuff. I think you do a lot of really good things getting over screens, but one of the ways that I think you can get even better, like right here, like I think anticipating screens and like getting into them, right? So like right here, I think you do a good job of getting over
Right.
and staying in the play. And obviously you guys make her miss, but I think like I'll look at this gap that you have right here with Timpson, and I'm like, if you sink into that, and we'll go into a play in the next one, but I think like if you sink into that and then it makes it easier to get around it instead of having to work to get outside it, right? Like I think being able to kind of sit down and do that
Right.
is so big and kind of just minimizing those actions and making them tough.
Right. Because usually on a flat screen, I would take away her right hand and the
Hmm.
big will come over and sag and help so I can come back. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Probably like pushing up a
Hmm.
little bit more and like making her go that way instead of giving so much space. Um, but yeah, you did have a really good point though. I probably should have did that.
Oh no, and again, like it always depends, what the defense is, what the scout is like, it's just it always dependent, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um But I want to go off this too because I think people might watch this and like I'd say like, oh, this is a bad player. I like this because to me, like I think you're really good at tagging up and closing, right? Like I think right here, this is just good scheme from FSU. They know you guys want to ice to keep Tanai out of the paint. You have to tag up Timpson because she's insane on
Right.
the roll. And they just end up getting a three out of this because it's a good drift and relocate. But like I think again, when I look at what you need to do defensively, especially as a forward, like you can't be slow on tag ups and getting to that. So I don't know. I just like being able to see that.
Right. Exactly.
Same
Yeah,
thing here.
usually roll. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, you're
Usually
good.
when they roll, I have to go over the top.
Hmm.
Um, just to stay on top of the play at the time. Yeah, I'm at the 4 right now.
Hmm.
Um, Going over the top and then being able to stay on top so I can get back to whoever I'm guarding. But I just stayed under and obviously buried the 3. That was
Hmm.
definitely a film clip of me in the next film session that we
Oh
had.
yeah.
So I definitely remember this play.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there's for sure.
Yeah.
It's tough. Um, yeah, but here too. So again, like being on the back line and tagging up, I think this is even better. Like just good job getting over and help, being presence in the gap, hands up, and then just a really good closeout, alter the shot, and big time possession with last 3 minutes left. Yeah. First off, I want to ask, like looking at Virginia Tech, they were obviously one of the more difficult offenses to guard in the country, right? So like
Yes.
coming into the games against them, what was main scout and kind of focus for you? Um, Especially, playing against a team that had such a dominant post, but also somebody who can really move and is just probably one of the tougher guards in the country in Georgia anymore.
I mean, their offense was I think their offense was probably the craziest offenses that I probably have to guard because they're always on the move. They're always moving somewhere. They're setting a screen somewhere. Something's happening, and you don't know who's going to go to until late. And they're really good at being consistent on their shots and making their shots. Our focus was mainly, Liz Kitley and Georgia Amore, which is hard because it's the point guard and the 5. And River Baldwin was out this game. But being at the 4, I knew I had to rebound a lot more because our bigs was most focused on keeping Liz Kitley from scoring. So me being able to get in there and get some rebounds, um, making chaos on defense, doing something, and offensively take the load and being able to be efficient in that game. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, speaking on helping out bigs and just being, doing chaos on defense, I think this is great. Obviously they want attack on the catch. Um, but I also like you
Mhm.
got to track Amore because she's so hard going baseline, then great scramble out and just making it a tough shot. Like I think that's the kind of stuff again, being a rotational defender and being able to make things difficult, like that's what you want to see.
Right. Right.
So yeah, right
Yeah,
here.
we were trying to double Kitley real quick.
Hmm.
We got to double Kitley quickly because she will get that shot off.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
she's
And I
really
think
good at
like
her mid range. So
especially looking in the W, like a lot of being able, like, okay, if that's Asia Wilson in the post, like having to dig down on that, make it hard, make it, make the pass harder than the shot is
exactly.
so big. So here too, again, like looking at like screen anticipation and stuff. Like we talked about a little bit earlier on like getting into the screen. Right here, like again, this is one of those ones where I'm like, all right, if you like even get into the screen, I think you do a good job coming back and trying to like be in rear contest. But like I think if you're able to sink into the screen a little bit and not open yourself up, I
Mhm.
think that's so big in keeping this kind of flattened out, right?
Right. Yeah, I probably should have made the decision quicker to go under because she's not really looking for the three. Her soft spot is that mid range.
Hmm.
So I definitely probably should have, even if I was gonna open up, I should have ran under as quick as I could instead of dancing with the screen. Um, but I felt like I kind of got back as quick as possible. I mean, I took contest at least.
Hmm.
But yeah, so
No,
yeah, I
absolutely.
definitely agree with that.
Yeah, but again, it's like I mean, not to keep hitting the same point home, but I think it's. I mean, that's what it is with defense, right? Like I think it's how consistently can you keep doing that over
Mhm.
and over again? Because it's hard. There's a lot. Like you, especially like I mean, some of
Yeah.
these games, like you run through a million screens, but um, I really
Oh,
like
yeah.
this play too. I want to pick out Notre Dame because I think first off, this was probably it felt like the best defensive performance of the season from you guys playing against Notre Dame at Purcell.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it was nasty. But I like this game from you a lot because I think again, not having to play the four every single possession, but I think showcasing that you can do it and play up on a position was big. Like they
Mhm.
love running Westbeld off the difficult stuff, going to 4 or 5 ball screens early. Really good job getting around, just staying down and making things tough. Like if you can make anything a 10-foot fadeaway, like
Mhm.
that's a win for the defense, right?
Right, exactly. Westbelt, we made sure that they were coming off a lot of down screens for her.
Hmm.
Just making sure to push her off because she's obviously undersized when it comes to her. So having to push her off and making sure it'll be a tough curl, something to give her a different look. And then we obviously have really, really great help in that play. So she would have to run into somebody down there if she was to drive. So I think we did a really great job on that as well,
No,
defensively that game.
yeah, totally agree. So right here too, I want to look at like scheme stuff just in general because you guys did a ton of like playing ice too, on sideline things. I love how aggressive you are, like getting out to just say, okay, this has to be an ice because so often a
Mhm.
guard's going to try and jet that right away.
Right.
Um, Good job getting back in, and then I think it's just like again, like the consistent small plays. Like if you get down and make this like a third or fourth effort too, I think that's a miss. I think again, it's just like we talked about consistency. But I think again, like I like seeing a lot of this in general, making that hard, and then just making that a miss eventually.
Right. Exactly. I mean, she just made a good read.
Absolutely.
One of my teammates just left and made a good read. I should have gotten back in front. I didn't even know she left,
Oh yeah, no,
honestly.
exactly.
So
That's the hard part. Like I think it's so easy to feel top down, like oh, you can see and feel everything. But like, I mean, I remember talking to somebody like Lexi Hall in the W was turned into a really good defender. She's like, I think I see like less than half the screens I get hit by. So it's
right.
there's a lot of it's got to be communication and kind of tabbing that stuff down.
Exactly.
Last thing in looking at defense, um, again, talking about the versatility, like they're trying to take you down to the post. They're like, okay, we know we have size on you. So I like the front here. Just like again, because like you talked about with that first play with Maddie, I think so much of having to play up is you have to just make them work, right? Make things tough
Exactly.
so they can't take advantage. So it's a good front, better post entry pass, but then really good job getting back in and just making it tough. And
Right.
again, like not that I think you should play the four every possession, but like that you
Right.
can do it. That matters, right?
Mhm. Right. Yeah, just like that's what one of the things that we talked about, just making sure that us, like especially me as a guard, like I have to front.
Hmm.
That's why River sagged down. Because their big didn't really shoot a lot from out there.
Yep.
So she sagged down to try and help. Um, but I just try to make it as tough as possible. I mean, if they make the shot, they make it. But I at least made it as tough as possible on them. That's the main goal for me. So
Absolutely. And actually do one more clip because I think this is like one of my favorite possessions from you this year. I love this clip because it's kind of like we've talked about with the like getting into a screen, right? Like I think this is Tony Morgan. She's not like a big shooter from outside, but really good getting downhill in the paint. I love you just like have a hand on the screen, but then a hand out like it seems small, but like just having that there to make things like make you think, I love it. Like that's the good
Right.
stuff because then you just make this okay, cool. You have to pull up from outside the free throw line. You have nothing. That's really good. Like I like seeing that a lot from you.
Right. I just try to make it. I know, like I kind of got stuck on the screen, but we knew that she wasn't a big shooter from out there. But she loved the mid range, so just trying to make her make a decision whether to pass it or she's gonna have to make a tough two from somewhere on the floor. So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's a moving screen too, so it doesn't
yeah, it's
matter. But
okay.
yeah, but yeah, no, going into your offensive stuff too, because like we talked about, a lot of like being a wing, being able to kind of do a lot of things on defense. I think that translates to on offense. Like you got to be a player who's always a threat, somebody you always have to worry about, and it can make things matter. And I mean, you have that, especially with anything in trail. I think you're so hard with like if you play the four and you're trailing, like
hmm
it's I mean that's wide open, easy stuff for you. You have a quick release, um, especially in becoming a shooter who's been as consistent as you are. What's been maybe most key for you in developing out that shot to get to the level it's at?
Right. So, my sophomore year when I came here, I wasn't really like I was more of a slasher. I was
Yeah,
not shooting anything outside hardly, but being a guard in the ACC, you have to be able to shoot the ball. So just developing that from like my junior year on to now, like it's definitely improved. And like you said, just being consistent with it. I felt like I was really consistent last year. But just keeping that up this year, I think that was the main point, and just getting ready for that WNBA level because you hardly miss open shots. You don't really see that as often. So just doing that for now for the long run.
yeah, no, 100%. And like you shot for what it's worth. I think you shot 43% on catch and shoot threes last year. So
hmm
like removing all dribble jumpers, you actually shot better on catch and shoot threes than you did on layups in the half court, which is like that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Very effective on the 3-point shot, which is big. Um, Going off this too, again, like playing off of a player like Sanaya, who is like, I mean, she's your guy's point guard more often than not. So like being able to, you made it so tough to be zoned up, right? Like I love you draw two, there's nothing there, and then just a quick pass back because so often passing back to right where you got it from is going to just shift the defense.
Exactly.
Um, and then they get a little bit out of position, you get the wide open shot. Like it seems like a small thing, but I think just being able to do little small plays like that consistently is so big, and I think that's something you really excelled at this year.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
think I
even
did a pretty good job.
yeah, no, 100%. And right here too, because like again, another team that played zone heavy with Notre Dame, open, nothing there. And then I love just sinking down after that because then you get it's essentially like an exit screen or a flare screen almost with the way it
Right.
gets set up and just again wide open. So can't leave you wide open ever.
Right, because River Baldwin was like a force on the inside for us, so I knew that they couldn't leave her open for that long because Kylie Watson got caught or
Hmm.
somebody got caught on the outside of her. So I just thought to move down so that she can get screened in. Now somebody has to run out and get me. So I think it was just a good read.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So much of being a good shooter is being able to make plays outside of a play, and I think that stands out a ton in that.
Right.
Um, Off this too, going into just being able to relocate, move in space, like I think this shot so is like it's not a Spain action, but it's like it, kind of
Yeah.
doing screen to screener stuff and then and popping back out. I think this is the stuff I look at with you that's kind of like the next level for you, right? Like
hmm
the shot doesn't go in, but I think continuing to refine your footwork on the catch and like just
Right.
cleaning the stuff up to be even more ready to get the shot. Because I don't want to say that you're not ready for the shot, but like being able to like instead of this being a jab step, if this is an automatic fire, like that is
Right.
that stuff is so tough to guard, right? I think
hmm
that's to unlock even higher levels of what you can do at the next level. If you can become a player that's even more consistently hitting off movement, any kind of screening action like that. Just, I mean, that's the next level in my opinion.
Right.
Also, wanted to ask you: have you always been a right to left shooter? Because like I feel like every time I see you gather, it's going left from the right.
Yeah, I think it's just I think it's just been easy for me to just come from that way.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like now, what y'all are gonna see, this season, I can shoot from either way. But I am definitely more comfortable going from left to right. So,
Yeah,
but I mean, either way, I feel like that's just always the position that I'm always in. It's
yeah.
crazy because it's not predetermined or anything like that.
It
It
just
just always
happens.
happens that way.
Well, that's good because I didn't even mean it as like a nitpick. It's just in general,
Oh
like
no.
it's always being consistent, right? Because so much of
Right.
shooting is like if your feet are always set the right way, if you're getting everything going the same direction is so big.
Right.
Um, but then going off that, because I think, I mean, you mentioned obviously starting as more of a slasher, being a player who can really shoot it like that, like that's where your money's made. Being able to, okay, cool. Now, if there's a secondary action or some kind of ball screen, like you have to be guarded out there. And then that opens up
Mhm.
more for you to do stuff as a playmaker. And like right
Right.
here, I really like this reject because like, I mean, they all, especially in this game, they were coming out hedging hard with Camilla at the five.
Mhm.
So I like the reject because Camilla's out there, get to the rim. And it's funny because kind of like we talked about this with the screening stuff. I think for you, like using your physicality on offense, I want to see even more. Because I think right
Right.
here, like instead of trying to go around Pow Pow, like you're stronger than her. You can get into her and go up with it instead of trying to go around. And I think that's a cleaner shot if you do that too.
Right. Yeah. I probably should have took that like one dribble, pushed into her a little bit, or like get into her body so that it'll give me like an easier shot. But yeah, you're definitely right. I probably should have bumped her a little bit.
Well, that's, I mean, again, because the fun part is like that's the easy stuff to work on and rep
Oh
out, right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's on the way. Um, I like this one too. So this is like just a great rip and go. Like you totally had Madison fool with this one, which is really fun. You're really good with the rejects, by the way. I think you're so good at using rejects because again, everybody wants to go over on you. So
Mhm.
what's a good way to counter? Reject because they can't take advantage of that. But I think again, it's like slowing down, which to be fair to Texas is really good at being annoying with charges.
Yeah.
Um, but like, continuing to slow down and get to the mid range. Do you have any idea how many mid range shots you took last year?
Probably like 2 or 3,
It was
something like
I
that.
think it was 18 total on the season. So
Really?
yeah. So
Oh, okay. I mean, that's
especially
more
in
than
like
expected.
yeah, it sounds like more than it even was, but like in terms of like taking that next level too, because I know I've heard you talk about in interviews this, leading into this year, becoming more of a three-level scorer. I think that's going to be really big for you because
Right.
if you can keep slowing that down because like you have that burst coming off, but if you can make people think like they have to come out even off the paint from you, um, that's big time and opening up more stuff at the rim.
Right. Yeah, I've been working on a lot, with my mid-range, this summer, and it looks really, really good, so you're definitely gonna be seeing that a lot this year.
No, I'm excited to see that because I think, yeah,
Yeah.
so you took 20 shots in the mid range, but only eight of them were jumpers. So it's like, obviously floaters and stuff count, but like, yeah, I think seeing even more of that will be really fun to see. Um,
Right.
I like this because again, like you're going off that reject,
Mhm.
going baseline. And I love the patience here because I think that's just again showing you knowing personnel, understanding what's there. The shot isn't there, so I appreciate not forcing anything. And this is just a great pass out with the patience. Again, the shot
Right.
doesn't fall, but like that's good process and stuff that you want to see routinely.
Yeah, for sure. I try not to make or like force any shots that I know that like I'm just not in position to score. Just making the right reads. I've seen that like their help came over to help on me. Zoe was already getting back to get for transition, but she came in at the right time. I mean, she'll make those this year. She's been working on her threes, so I'm excited to see that too. I'm
Yeah,
gonna get
no,
a lot of assists
100%.
this year.
Absolutely. I'm excited for that. Um, and then here too, like I think again, like this is good stuff. Like get into the paint, draw two, and then move the ball. And again, I think it's just tough. I mean, Cam was the best shot blocker in the nation last year,
Yeah,
so it happens.
yeah,
You can't go off up soft against her, but like that's good stuff. And I also love like using the baseline to go out of bounds. Like it's sometimes coaches complain about it, but like I think this is pretty in control from you. You know that you have the defender on you and being able to just find an extra angle. I like that a lot.
yeah. That's what we talked about a lot. Just knowing that Cam is gonna come over and try and shot block everybody that comes in the paint. So just being able to utilize our fives that they're gonna be down there on the block wide open. So I mean, it was just a good look. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So going here too, this is to me like one of my favorite things from you. Like, especially like putting you in an empty corner with the five. You have to get guarded because you're gonna you can make that shot. You do a
Hmm.
really good job setting up the screen here too, like letting it happen, getting her on your hip, and then perfect pass wide open, easy stuff. They do a good job too with peel switching this, but like I think in
Right.
general, like that's you get in far enough to draw the defender, just the right pass, right time, good stuff.
Thanks.
Because especially, well, I do want to actually go back because I think like watching this, I'm trying to think. The only team that I know, like Notre Dame, did it a little bit towards the end of the year when they were playing smaller after Kylie went down,
Mhm.
with peel switching, especially on the fives. Did you guys kind of feel going into this game that they might do that? Because like not a lot of teams were doing this last year. So how did you kind of feel? Like I mean, this is a great job taking advantage of it, but like how did you kind of feel seeing stuff like that in this game?
I mean, I think like seeing that Cam was really sunk in into the paint as I was driving, just trying to make her commit more. Because then now to make that guard who's chasing be able to make a decision whether do I come back and contest the guard or do I go back and get River. We didn't really notice that, but
Hmm.
we knew that Cam was going to help a lot, and that obviously this is the third quarter, so they knew that I was a shooter by that point. So
Yeah,
just being able to utilize that, and obviously River knocked it down. So.
absolutely. Um, yeah, I gotta ask too. I think in some ways River was kind of like an unsung hero last year for you guys. Like did so much good stuff. What
Mm-hmm.
has it felt like not having her at the five this year and kind of feeling out, a different process with a lot of different players you're going to be in that spot this
Mm-hmm.
year?
I mean, I think it's definitely hard. She's played majority of the minutes as the five last year. She was definitely a huge part. Taking charges was her thing for us, and it definitely helped us guards. But now being able to make sure that we play one-on-one defense and we're able to keep guards in front of us because we don't have a River Baldwin back there. But our post is really working hard. You need to be able to do the things that she brought to this team, but doing it in their own way. So I'm excited to see like how the games are going to go this year. I think they'll do a really great job, but they're doing good in practice, so we'll see.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for that. Just a couple more clips to go through. I really like this one because again, like you're going to see, I mean, double drags are going to be a huge part of the W. A lot of teams run them. But my favorite part here is like, I mean, very clearly, just like I think this was an out of bounds play. I can't remember off the top of my head because I clipped it right before, of course. But
Hmm.
this is good stuff. Like again, let the screen set up because like right here with just kind of like the little hezzy puts Donarski right into the screen. But I love the patience coming off this too because like Usby's right there and help. You're waiting, and then as soon as she's out of the picture, you turn on the Jets. And to me, like that's again, the patience as a driver is so big because I think so often people think I just need to get to the paint and score.
Right.
Well, if somebody's in the paint, it's a lot harder to score. So being able to kind of just set that up and play off of what the play wants is really good.
Right. Mimi made it easy on me with that because she started to become a 3-point shooter that
Hmm.
that past year. So it definitely, had made us make a decision whether to guard the ball or she's gonna go hedge out to Mimi. But I think I just made a great read. So.
Yeah, no, 100%. Um, yeah. So this again, like looking into talking about like getting into instead of trying to go around. Like I think obviously again you can get to the paint whenever you want with the ball in your hand, right? But I
Mhm.
think again right here this is one of those plays where I'm like I really want to see you get up into somebody, especially when somebody's got more length than you or is maybe a little bit taller. Like if you can get into them and force them to have to play down, I think that
Mm.
makes such a big difference in finishing,
Right. Yeah.
which is using the exact same defender. That's why I love seeing this because to me, I think you do a really great job of okay, turn the corner and then get her on your hip, use your shoulder. You don't score here, but you draw the foul, and that's I mean, free throws are free points, so
Right.
always
Exactly.
want them. Especially in looking at like rim reads and stuff, like how you attack the paint. What's been
Mhm.
maybe most key for you in seeing those things and kind of looking at how you make some of those decisions when you get into the paint.
Just being able to read like if they're on my hip, don't like because I'm fast enough, I'm quick enough. My first step, everybody tells me my first step is quick. It's a good burst. So just being able to take advantage of her when she was on my hip, knowing that probably she was gonna foul or try and block my shot because she is bigger than me. Um, but just making those reads. I mean, obviously Liz Kitley got pulled out because of Mimi at the 3-point line, but I mean, it just obviously comes with time, like playing the game because it's so hard trying to do that with like if I was a freshman here now, like I would be information overload. Like my brain would be spinning all the time, thinking too much about it. But now it just comes so easy to me being in this system for so long, um, and watching and playing, and definitely helped me, make the decisions that I make when I get in the paint.
No,
So
definitely. And I think it's so interesting too, because again, like, I mean, you were a player who had the ball in your hands a ton in high school, right? So like
yeah.
having to you adjust to a role coming in and you have to like relearn everything because of the speed of the game and where you're at and how
Hmm.
differently you're catching the ball. It's just, I think so often people think like, oh, it should just translate immediately, but it takes time, exactly like you're
Yeah, it
saying. Like
definitely takes time.
even the next level, like there's that jump of kind of figuring out timing again. And it's fun, but also like really difficult. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but hey, you get to, I mean, being a fifth year senior, you get to take advantage of people now this year. So
Oh yeah, for
that's the
sure.
exciting part for you. This one, I like this a lot because you look baseline here, and then you set up the screen for River, or technically like seal screen, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I like that a ton because you take a player out of the way right away and make it one on one. I know this doesn't go in. Like I think this is again someone where, especially with the wolf on you, could use your physicality even more. Like have you thought more about like posting up and stuff? Because I think that's something like
Yes.
we haven't really gotten to
Yes.
see you do that a lot, but I feel like that's something you could really tap into, especially like teams would try and put a smaller defender on you at times last year. Um, so like I think I'd be interested to see that. So is that something you thought more about?
Yeah, I think just with our offense this year, especially playing four guards, just being able to take advantage of that, just with the obviously like non-conference or even in conference, just seeing what they would do because I'm quicker on my first step. So like facing up or being able to read their defense on my back, whether they're over helping on this other side, I could just turn around, shoot a layup, just different things like that I've done. I've been working on. So I'm really excited to use that in the game. I'm glad you mentioned that because
Yeah.
I definitely should have did better in this play. I probably should have went an up and under, but I definitely been working on it. So
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see that because again, like part of being like a bigger guard, somebody who can play on the wing, like if you get those kind of mismatches, being able to take advantage of them is so big. So looking forward to that.
exactly.
Um, last couple plays. Just I think in general, like when you can attack the ball cleanly off the catch, I mean, it's so different for you. Like not that you're bad driving with the basketball, but I think like your ability when you just catch and go is like, I mean, it's pretty different. Like I think this footwork here is again, like this is one of your best drives from the year. Just really good job reading everything, attacking, making it difficult to as always zone you up. So
Right. Yeah.
and then right here again, I think this is some of your best footwork on a drive this entire season, like from this entire season into a Euro here to get into the finish. And I think continuing to get into this stuff is going to be really big time for you. And really good job playing through traffic too. This game was
Yeah.
also I rewatched this entire game yesterday. I was like, wow, this
Really.
forgot about how insane this game was until I went
Oh, it
back
was
through it.
great.
Yeah, it was a fun one. Definitely, I'm sure Wes wasn't thrilled about it at times, but it was
Oh
fun to
my
watch down to the
gosh.
wire.
He's
Um,
so stressed out. He was stressed out that whole game.
oh, I can
But I'm
imagine.
glad we pulled it out.
100%. Well, Madison, that was it. That's all I got plays wise.
Okay.
Um, I really appreciate you making the time for this. I'm really excited to see you keep growing and what you guys keep doing this year as a team. Is there anything you want to kind of close out on or mention before we out of here?
Oh, just make sure y'all tune in for NC State. Make sure, tag me if you see me. But thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I know took time out of your day as well, not just mine. So I really appreciate this.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the kind words. Well, to everyone watching, be sure to keep up with all things NC State, as Madison just said, because they're going to be really fun to watch this year, just like they were last year.
Yep.
Team with a lot of expectations, but I imagine they're going to back them up. To everyone watching, enjoy the rest of your day.